Hey there, friend, MagicBrad here, SynergyCafe, Synergy Collaboration, and it's me and Mr. Damon Dickinson again, and we're going to talk today about
meditation.
Meditation.
And the head versus the heart.
No, because I learned last time you said don't even talk about the head. Just go right to the heart.
Well, ultimately we'd like to get to our heart, but sometimes we have to have a conversation about the head so the head gets it, so that we can actually get to the heart and leave the head behind.
Exactly. But that is my personal challenge. I'm 57 years old, and I got some experience in entrepreneurism and doing, is that a word, entrepreneurism?
It sounds good to me.
That's great. And
sounds like a disease, but got 12 steps for that.
There you go, 12 steps to curing yourself of entrepreneurism. But I've got these pre-cognified notions of how things are supposed to be done. And whenever I start thinking of, okay, how should I do this marketing thing, or if I'm trying to get some information out via the internet, I'll go right to my head of how to logically do it, when possibly there's a much easier way if I was to listen to my heart, which would be more infinite wisdom instead of my cognitive wisdom.
Yeah, well, and especially in Western culture, we're very mind-dominant. Period. From the moment we're in school, we're learning to already add and read and write and count. There's much less of the artistic and intuitive and emotional side of our beings being cultivated.
That's right. They didn't teach meditation in grade school, did
they?
Not here, anyways.
Well, and they've almost cut out all the music, art. Don't really talk much about feelings and that sort of thing in school. Not a huge amount anyway, compared to how much is focused on the academic side, what our brains do. And I really believe it's like teaching ourselves and learning how to walk around on our hands, because I really don't believe our brains were meant or designed to be the organ that is to be the decision maker or the guider. I believe it's a fantastic computer for storing memory, knowing places and points, and operating in 3D time and space. But I actually believe our heart was the organ designed, and I'm not saying our physical heart, because we have a spiritual heart too, or maybe another aspect of our heart, our energetic heart, that is actually designed to be our GPS, the direction finder and giver of what the next step is to take. And then our brain finds out how to carry those orders out.
That kind of goes back into the thing that Paul Sheely, on how he operates.
We have a couple of young ladies sliding here while we're talking.
Because Paul Sheely works with that. He does a presentation where he's using hats and explains the reptilian brain versus the mammalian brain, and the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, and that's all very logical.
Right.
Whereas when you talk about the heart, it's kind of etheric, and I would say a little more analog.
Well, to some degree, yeah. And the interesting thing is it applies to meditation as much as it applies in practical life. They're both very interesting because one of the more popular, well-known forms of meditation in modern day is called mindfulness. And even beyond the mindfulness, most meditation practices have something to do with focusing of the mind, either detaching and witnessing, or you're repeating a mantra, or you're focusing and visualizing in some way, which are all mental, mind-based things. And yet our heart is really our direct connection to Source, and it can, well, we'll get into a deeper subject, but it's like, even if you go back to ancient Buddhist times, Buddha said, all suffering is based in the mind. Mind is the source of all suffering. And so most of the practices of the Buddhist practice were to be able to train the mind to be still, so that then you could experience bliss or samadhi or this pure consciousness state, which I believe was this opening of the heart. And in those days and times, it may have been necessary to do more of that. Today, there's new energies on the planet. There's new things that make it easier and easier to actually access our heart directly. And they used to call it the monkey mind, to tame the tame the monkey mind. And I love this analogy, which came to me, is like we're in a beautiful garden, a beautiful rose garden, right? And we have a monkey. We have the monkey mind, and the heart represents the rose garden. Okay, and when it's open, it's like blooming roses. It's just beautiful and fragrant, and it's so enjoyable. And we've got this monkey mind Do you really want to spend all your time trying to train a monkey to be quiet so you can enjoy the rose garden? Or can you sit and just enjoy the rose garden? And maybe the monkey's got a little bit to say, but most of the time it'll calm down because you're just enjoying the rose garden so deeply that it just naturally calms.
Well, it's like in an earlier session that you and I did, you were talking about the just go past the head part. And that makes a lot of sense to me in that, like early on when I was doing spiritual type things, they say to bring it in through the top of the crown chakra and then it goes into your head.
Right.
And you're kind of saying, nix all that, just go right to the heart.
Yes and no.
No.
Well, we don't want to totally discount the mind or the brain. We want to honor it as the gift that it is, but not make it the predominant focus.
Because not make the decisions with it.
Right. We still want it to be part of the game, because anytime we start denying a part or cutting a part of ourselves off, even when we talk about the crown chakra, because it's actually, we start getting into that whole subject of, you know, chakras, what they are, how they work, and they each have a proper function and a piece of the puzzle, even as our heart does. But just bringing it back to the heart is still our key. It's the central place where everything else comes in. And I bring that up because we still would like our crown chakra open. We'd still like the third eye, the ajna, which is really a representation of the pineal gland as well, to be open and released so that we can receive those higher vibrations coming through our whole being, so we can actually, that helps with allowing the heart to open. That's getting a little beyond where I was going to go today, but
it is. That's a little expensive.
Yeah.
And again,
yeah,
we
we're going
like
to
to
get a
keep
simple
these,
place.
I like to keep these kind of short so we don't take up too much
Yeah,
time for
well,
people.
and it all, you're right, because, you know, we all have other more interesting, important things to do.
Well, not more interesting, but things that we think are important that are actually, that's a whole nother topic that I like to get into sometime, is the whole thing of time.
Yeah.
That it's preconceived that there's 24 hours in a day and we've all got these 24 hours. Why is it that some people can accomplish so much more than other people when we've got the same amount of time? Yeah. And that to me is the logical brain saying that there's 24 hours in a day.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just how we use that time too, which we can talk about. There's just some practical
Yeah, you
pieces
can
to it.
overlap some things.
Yeah.
Like today we went to lunch, worked on some car stuff, and now we're doing this all in a small period of time. So you can crunch time.
But I guess coming back to the main point of our heart and the wisdom of the heart, and the heart is key, whether it's in practical life, which it can just as easily apply as in spiritual life through, you know, meditation. Heart has its own wisdom. Mm-hmm. It has its own knowing.
That is another the Greg Braden stuff.
Yeah, he brings a lot of that out of Heart Math, which has some great science around that. The Heart Math Institute up in, I guess it's up in BC, British Columbia.
I don't know.
Yeah, but you can look up Heart Math Institute. They have some great stuff. And, excuse me, that lunch is still doing its thing. Being able to honor our heart, the more we practice, just like any other muscle, including tuning into the heart wisdom, becomes stronger and stronger. It becomes easier to trust. It usually has more of a feeling component to it in the mind.
Exactly, like you talked about the rose garden.
Yes.
You can't really measure it. I mean, science can measure smell.
Yeah.
But you can't say, well, how much does that, it smells like roses, but how much rose?
Right.
So you can't really measure stuff like feelings.
Right, and you know, a lot of times most of our goals, whatever they are, if you look at the end, like, I want $1 million. Well, why do you want $1 million? Well, because I feel more secure, I feel safer. You know, once you get through the stuff I would buy with it, well, what will those give you? Quite often it's an experience. Mm-hmm. I'd have more fun, and once you're having more fun, I'd be happier. And it's interesting, if we play those down, there's like 2 or 3 archetypal, or typical, how would you say it? Archetypes of emotion, feeling that it comes down to. Joy, peace, and usually like a form of pride or satisfaction. It comes down to those
achievement or
yeah, but it's this feeling of being proud, like we've made it. You know, we've arrived in some way. But really, even deeper, it comes down to this place of peace and joy. Those are really the two, if you just keep playing it out, and we can have fun with that sometimes. Just take any goal and play it out. And guess where those two feelings abide?
In the heart.
Yeah.
See, I'm learning.
So if we just stay in our hearts.
I'm learning. I'm learning.
Yeah, if we just stay in our hearts.
I'm learning.
And tune into the joy and the peace that's already at the core of our heart. You know, and that's a deeper subject because a lot of times we have a lot of stuff around our heart that keeps us from feeling those things. Then the other parts of our brain being able to function, be clear, to flow, and find easier and faster, more graceful ways to enjoy the other parts of our life, you know, then those other parts come together a lot easier.
Okay, I'm going to close this up, but later on I want to talk about that word why. Because to me, like, that was the thing that a kid always says to their mom. Well, why? You know, go to your room. Why? Because I said so, that's why. Yeah. That was usually the answer that my mom gave me. Because I said so, that's why. And then I understood. But when you ask that word why, like you said, we boiled down from I want to make $1 million and
yeah, what's the outcome of that? Right.
And then you get joy. Mm-hmm. Why do you want to be joyful? Yeah. And you really get down to the essence of because I said so, that's why.
Right. Well, and it comes to this, like, joy is, you know, the ultimate feeling in a sense.
It is. It ends up being about a feeling.
Right.
So I'm going to sign us off here. So I don't know how long this went. I think maybe, I don't know, we'll figure it out later.
It says 11 minutes, 30 seconds.
That's not bad. That's good. I don't want to take too much of your valuable time. So this is MagicBrad and Damon Dickinson, and we're going to be doing some more of these for you so you can tune in. And to find us, you can either Google the keyword MagicBrad Meditation or Damon Meditation.
Yeah.
You'll find us, and you'll find links around here. So, peace, love, and happiness. MagicBrad signing off.
Peace.